Call the meeting to order. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we just thank you for this time once again to come before you and to come before our citizens to do our best work for the city of Monroe. Lord, we just please pray that you are with us tonight and help us make the decisions that we need to make this city one of the best cities in the state of Georgia. Lord, bless this meeting in your name. Amen. Amen. Let the record reflect all council members present. Before we move into the approval of the agenda, I'd like to turn the program over to Chief Glass for just a presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And tonight we're honored to have with us from the city of Atlanta, Chief George Turner and Sergeant Tucker. And Chief Turner has, he's going to make a presentation to the police department on recertification. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate you. Let me just, before I present this plaque to this city, as well as Chief Glass, I want to really just talk a little bit about the certification process through the state of Georgia. And we can't take this for granted that this department is a certified agent in the state of Georgia, saying that they strive to best practices in this state. And so this is an opportunity for you to celebrate the fact that there's just a handful of agencies out of 600 agencies in our state that receive these recertifications. We were fortunate enough this year also, the city of Atlanta, out of 42 agencies that was recertified this year, along with Monroe. And I hold this as a really, really deep accomplishment for my administration, and I think that you guys should look at this the same way for Monroe. So on behalf of the Georgia Chiefs Association Law Enforcement Certification, I served as the immediate past president of the Georgia Chiefs Association, and Keith, my good friend, he insisted that I presented this because my signature is on this document from last year. And so I'm going to read the plaque as it says. The state of Georgia law enforcement certification, be it they're hereby known that the Monroe Police Department has fully demonstrated its commitment to law enforcement excellence by meeting all applicable standards as established by the state of Georgia Law Enforcement Certification Program. Therefore, upon recommendation of the Joint Review Committee of the state of Georgia Law Enforcement Certification Program, this agency is hereby recognized as a certified law enforcement agency for the period of August 1st, 2016 through July 31st, 2019. It's signed by our Honorable Governor Nathan Deal and also the President of the Georgia Sheriff's Association, Mr. Wilson, and then myself, George N. Turner, as the immediate past president of the Georgia Chiefs Association. Congratulations, Chief Glass.
We'll do whichever.
I'll come over here. I'll come over here.
No, I saw him dancing with the Tams. Great. And then also on behalf of the Georgia Chiefs Association, we always acknowledge the certification manager. Let me just take a minute to ask Captain Mike Matthews to come forward if he's here. So the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police certification appreciation to Captain Mike Matthews we are gratified on the dedication and efforts of your effort to get this agency to certification. So on behalf of the Georgia Chiefs Association and the immediate past president, George N. Turner, congratulations for your effort in getting this agency to certification.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Thank you. If the mayor or any council members of the Public Safety Committee, if you join us up here in the police department, guys and gals, if you would, come take a quick photo with us and we'll get out of y'all's way.
How you want to do this, Chief?
So give everybody, they want everybody.
Yeah, let's step on that here.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Monroe Police Department. That's a good accomplishment. And glad to hear stuff like that. Now we will move on to the approval of the agenda. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second by Mr. Adcock. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. We need an approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Little,
Second.
second by Ms. Garrett. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Move into public presentation. Oh, that was already done, excuse me. I moved ahead a little bit. We have one person signed up for public comments. That's Amanda Harville. Come to the podium. State your name and address and
Good to meet you. I'm homeless. I don't have an address. So I guess I'll start then. And I'm actually here this evening, of course, to talk about homelessness. Can everybody hear me okay? I know I have a problem with talking fast and talking quietly. Now, some of y'all may recognize me from Dollar General on Spring Street. And some of you, I might just be some young chick you've never seen before. On and off for 4 years I've lived in Monroe, and a lot of special beauty lives here. The rest of the time when I'm not here, I can usually be found on the Pacific Coast. But I'm sorry, I didn't think to open with I'm homeless, so that sort of messes up my speech a little bit. Anyway, I'm not your typical homeless, and my place in life actually has very heavy spiritual significance for me and is based upon a lot of solid philosophy. But that's my own thing, and that's not why I'm here. Up here, I speak for all the drugs. Up here, I represent the best and the worst of all the different shapes, variations, and colors that a bum can be. We have something to say to you. We want to say that we have a right to our lifestyles, a right to life, and a life where we don't have to slink around in the shadows, hiding from the eye of the law, being legally considered criminal for asking, hey man, you can spare a little bit of change, could you? It takes courage to be a bum. And when you're a criminal anyway, stealing, whoring, and other crimes are not the most outlandish ideas. I know some of these honest thieves and beautiful whores, and I hurt for them. Now, as for me, some of the worst feelings of fear, desperation, loneliness, and just plain aching as a homeless individual have come from police persecution. And, these feelings can and do leave a person vulnerable and weak. A matter of personal pride for me is my control over my emotions, but if I was different, I get propositioned daily and offered money for my body. Some people, I guess they see a young homeless female, maybe they think they smell some need. But all that just isn't my thing. But go ahead and take a second here with me to hurt for all those who've, ended up there for hunger, need, and fear, all those who've suffered there. Sometimes it can take more courage to say no to something you don't want to do than to say yes. Now in this building, up the stairs and all the way down the hall, there's a room on the left. A significant room. It's the code office. A police officer. Oh, I don't see her in the audience anymore. It was actually ironic that she was here at all, but a police officer told me that I needed to get a panhandling license if I'm not to end up jailed. So the very next day I went to the code office to apply for one. they tell me it's $100 for a 7-day license. Now, I see y'all here, and y'all have listened this far, and I've got one thing to ask, and I ask that maybe we can change that too high price tag on human freedom. In some cities in the U.S., the same license is a $10 a year thing, and the point is so that they can talk to you about services and tell you when and where and how you can and can't panhandle. We want a little bit of fairness. I wager some of y'all are thinking about home and dinner right now, and I'm thinking about dinner and blending into crowds, trying to be elusive while not seeming so sketchy that somebody won't throw me 50 cents. So, after this meeting, I'm going to get out of here and risk my freedom as much as anything for, just a meal. But think about what I said, please.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful day.
You too. We'll move into the public hearings. Item number A is additional use 603 South Broad Street. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try and get my throat clear and get this done. We have an application for a conditional use at 603 South, South Broad Street. The existing zoning is B2. The applicant, Old Monroe Mills LLC, requests a zoning action to allow private school as a conditional use on the property. The proposed use will not be detrimental to adjacent properties or the general neighborhood. The proposed use will not significantly adversely affect public health, safety, morality, or welfare. The proposed use, as designed, will minimize adverse effects on the surrounding neighborhood. Applicable standards in Article 10 have been met. The proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Conditional use is compatible with the community development pattern. A rezoning to allow the requested use is permitted as a permitted use would not. I'm sorry, this sentence is not making sense. Apologize for that. All right, that is not actually applicable, number 7. The proposed use will not be injurious to the natural environment or other property in the immediate vicinity or unconstitutionally diminish property values within the surrounding neighborhood. Off-street parking and loading and access thereto will be adequate. Public facilities and utilities are capable of adequately serving the proposed use, and the use would not lead to a major negative change in existing levels of public service or fiscal stability. The use will not be an extension of a use which will cause a damaging volume of agriculture, commercial, or industrial, or higher density residential use into a stable neighborhood of well-maintained single-family homes, nor likely to lead to decreasing surrounding property values, neighborhood deterioration, and spreading of blight or additional requests of a similar nature which would expand the problem, which a use as a school wouldn't even be considered as a problem. The use would not significantly increase congestion, noise, or traffic hazards. Granting this request would not have a domino effect in that it becomes the opening wedge for further rapid growth, urbanization, or other land use changes beyond what is indicated in the comprehensive plan. As I said, the use requested as a conditional use is for a school, and I believe the applicant is here if you have any questions about that, or if you have any about the application, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay, question for Patrick? Okay, is someone here to speak on 603 South Broad? Come to the podium, I'll give you 10 minutes to address the council.
Mayor, if I can again, please, just need to state for the record that Old Monroe Mills is an entity over which I have ownership and management control, and therefore our office will be unable to provide any legal advice relative to this request. Should the need arise, conflict counsel would have to be retained.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. I'm Dr. Rita Dickinson. I think many of you know me. I have addressed this council many times. I am here to tell you that I plan on opening Monroe Country Day School on September 6th this year. We have everything ready as soon as the fire marshal approves, and we'll be ready to get everything moved in and ready for students in September. The Johnston Institute, that school was originally built as the Johnston Institute and was a school, and we will be returning it back to its original use, which I think will be a great addition to Monroe. our school system, our public school system has basically left the town, and that's not the fault of the school system, but the new laws about how much land you have to have in order to build a school has sort of required that they move out of the towns. And I think that it would be really nice having a school inside Monroe where we can walk to the local resources and use some of our local people to talk to our students and have interaction. We plan on being involved with the Monroe Museum and the Monroe Art Guild and other things that we can easily walk to from the school. And I'm here to answer any questions you might have about the school.
How many students will you have?
Maximum will be probably between 150 and 175. It's K through 8th grade, so we can have more if it's little ones, less if we end up with more middle school students. We will start with somewhere between 35 and 50 students on September 6th, and probably will grow a little bit during this school year. I feel that we probably have some families who are just sitting back and waiting to see if it's really going to happen. And as soon as they can come in and see the teachers and see the children, I think we'll have some more that join us.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else in the audience like to speak for this conditional use on 603 South Broad Street? Anyone like to speak against the conditional use on 603 South Broad Street? Okay, hearing none, we'll close this part of the public hearing and bring it before the council for a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of the conditional use for school.
Have a motion by Mr. Bradley, second by Mr. Adcock. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Congratulations. Item B is a zoning ordinance code text amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you all know, this is an ongoing effort to clean up our zoning ordinance, and this is just a few of the things that we've run across over the last period of time in order to make it better. So it's basically some corrections to allow annual tent permits, provision that was errantly removed when we rewrote the zoning ordinance, to correct some typos and align the sidewalk display provisions in the zoning ordinance with the same provisions in the code of ordinances, and to allow parity in square footage of accessory structures for single-story and two-story homes. All of those are delineated in the Exhibit A attached. If you have any questions about those, I'll be glad to answer them.
And you'll need to open this up for public hearing.
No questions from the council? Okay. This is a public hearing, so we'll open it up to anyone who has any comments for this zoning ordinance code text amendment. Does anyone have any comments against the zoning ordinance code text amendments? Okay, hearing none, I'll close this part of the public hearing and bring it before the council for a motion.
It's not ready for motion yet, Mr. Mayor. This
Okay.
is just a public hearing.
Public,
Tonight, under new business, you'll have first reading and you'll have second reading next month.
thank you.
Yes, sir.
Under new business, we have appointments, two appointments to the planning commission, Mike Eccles and John Howard. I believe they both stated they want to be reserved. So if nobody else has any more motions, we will take one of these at a time.
I move that Mike Eccles be reappointed.
Have a motion by Mr. Bradley,
Second.
second by Mr. Richardson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes.
I move that John Howard be reappointed.
Have a motion for John Howard to be reappointed by Nathan Little,
Second.
second by Mr. Richardson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Item number 2 is the approval of the CHIP grant administration manual.
I can take that real quick.
Love it.
Covered it briefly last week. CHIP grant administration manual gives us guidance on how to administer the grant, primarily dealing with banking issues, payments, and things of that nature. It's just an addendum to what we've already passed regarding the rest of the CHIP grant.
Okay. Any questions for Logan? Okay, we need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Miles.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Garrett. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Item number 3 is the approval of the CHIP grant policies and procedures manual.
Yet another CHIP policy and procedure, this time dealing with how we expend the funds, how construction is vetted, various processes of bidding, so on and so forth.
Okay? Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Knocker.
Second.
Second by Mr. Purvis. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Item number 4 is the approval of the CHIP grant Section 3 policy.
This Section 3 policy is an add-on to the other policies and procedures manual that we have to approve separately. Primarily deals with housing rehabilitation, construction, and other subcontractor and contractor items that are not covered in the previous manual.
Okay? Anybody got any questions for Logan? Not, need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Purvis.
Second.
Second by Mr. Little. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Item number 5 is the approval of the out-of-state travel. Say.
This is travel to Hilton Head, South Carolina in October to do the second class in a 4-part series done by the National Development Council to become a certified economic development professional.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you. Need a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Ms. Malcolm. Second by Mr. Adcock. All in favor? Any opposed? That passes. Item number 6 is first reading of the zoning ordinance code of text amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. This is an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance of the City of Monroe, Georgia. The Mayor and the Council of the City of Monroe, Georgia hereby ordain as follows. The zoning ordinance of the City of Monroe officially adopted June 10, 2014 and effective July 1, 2014 as thereafter amended is hereby amended by implementing the text amendments and changes outlined and identified in particular detail on Exhibit A, which such exhibit is incorporated herein by reference. All ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. These text amendments of the City of Monroe zoning ordinance shall take effect upon their adoption by the Mayor and the Council. Exhibit A contains Item 1, edits to Section 1000.9 sub 3. Item 2, edits to Section 1250.2. Item 3, edits to Section 630.3, Table 8 notes. Item 4, edits to Section 1000.6.1 sub A. And Item 5, edits to Section 1000.1 sub 3. This constitutes the first reading, Mayor.
Moving into item number 7, approval of the 2016 LD project, Michael Etchison Road, intergovernmental agreement. You want to take that?
Yes, sir. I'll start and maybe get followed up with some other help from the departments. But this is presented as a revised item. The one you're looking at should say revised at the top. We worked on this a little bit more today to get the dollars straight. This, what we're proposing is the council do, if this is approved, is let this intergovernmental agreement with Walton County supersede your previous action in July. This is an agreement that says the same kind of things, and it's the same project, but the dollars are now different. The county required us to provide some of the cost of hauling. They want us to provide 4 trucks. 2 of which we have, but it cuts us a little short. We're going to have to rent a couple at $70 an hour. So this is going to make our budgeted cost, which we talked to you last time, being about $112 for this. Our participation in this project now will be about $138, and so that's different. And we thought you ought to know that and approve a different agreement. The other thing that we want to point out too is that an original cost estimated some time back for Michael Etchison Road included, it was about $69,000 was the estimate for the Elming project. As turned out to be more than that now because of the need for deep patching that wasn't fully anticipated before, and the length of the road is, we've added some length to the road, and Jeremiah can speak to that. But as a result, what this will do is if we fund this project the way we recommended here, this will take all of your LMIG money away, and this is one of your LMIG projects, Michael Edson, Harris, and Hammond Drive. So it will take all the money within LMIG funding, which comes from the state, with 30% match. We'll have to use all that to finish up the Michael Edson Road. However, we have and that leaves Harris and Hammond unfunded by LMIG, but we have a solution because within your SPLOST transportation funds, we've got money there, and those projects there are not designated, particular road designated. So we can use it for any bona fide and priority road project, and it's our belief that Hammond and Harris are still priorities, and we just ask you to take the money to fund those LMIG commitments out of SPLOST transportation fund. So this is what this represents, and if you have any questions, I'll try to answer.
So why did this come up at the last minute change in the amount of money?
The county changed its requirements for us to participate. They upped our requirements that we have to provide hauling assistance. And then some of the measurements changed, the number of tonnage changed from last in July to now. So the county notified us of those changes, and it was unknown before. When Jeremiah previously spoke to the county, this wasn't indicated, but sort of at the last minute, they indicated it was additional tonnage and that we had to participate in this. So it was unknown to us in July, but became known to us a couple of weeks ago.
And the length of the road, it still doesn't cover all of Michael Edson, correct?
That's what I understand. Jeremiah can speak to that.
That's correct. If you come out of McDaniel to the Michael Edson, and if you go to the right towards George Walton, there is a evident seam there right before you get to the school property. From that point, the 138 has been paved several years back in the PCI, and the condition of it is still in really good shape. From there to Evans Bridge is a section that's going to be resurfaced. That's about a mile and a half.
How much of that road's in the city? Where you start?
Percentage-wise, it's probably close to 50, maybe a little less than 50.
With
The whole left-hand side.
Yeah, I think the road.
Right-hand side
is county, yeah.
But if you pick up the annexation that
where you,
recently occurred,
then when we get to the end of it, that 300-something acres on one side and 100 on the other side, we increase our roadage, our linear feet right there with that annexation. It's still a really, really good deal. These numbers are really big estimates. There's some heavy tonnage for the deep patching as well as the leveling in this estimate prepared by the county. Those numbers are going to come in lower than what's presented here. It's just this is a heavy estimate for that project.
So this is the maximum amount of money you think?
I wouldn't say maximum, because you never know. You could get into a deep patch and you could have a problem with your base, your sub-base, and incur some costs there. This, I think, is a fair estimate, but I think it's on the high side. I wouldn't say it's a maximum.
The money that you're going to have to take from the SPLOST fund, does that do anything to other plans for those funds?
Just because it hadn't been allocated to, it's there for transportation projects, and those hadn't been specified just because we're not required to. Only through the LMIG process do we specifically say where we're going with the money, and that money's there to do the rest of these projects with.
We don't see this affecting, for instance, our South Broad project at all. We believe the monies are there. So we didn't see any project that was threatened because of this at this point.
Okay. Any more questions? Still a good deal.
Yes, sir.
Regardless of how you look at it, it's still a good deal.
I move approval.
Motion by Mr. Bradford. Second. Second by Mr. Eckhart. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That passes. That concludes our meeting tonight. We need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr.
Second.
Second by Mr. Garrett. All in favor? Thank you, guys.
No, a friend of mine. You had a buyer? Yeah. No, Chris Rosendahl. Do you know who he is? He's been building.